Hello! Today I will be talking about my favorite way to get rid of dead creatures, on-farm burial. The goal of on-farm burial, much like other disposal methods, is to dispose of deceased animals properly. Some benefits of on-farm burial are that it is exempt from the Virginia Solid Waste Management regulations so long as it does not constitute a public nuisance, health hazard, or open dump. It is also simple, quick, and relatively inexpensive, as it only requires equipment readily available on most farms and requires no transportation of the body off of the farm. Since the bodies are kept on farm premises, on-farm burial is a very biosecure process, as there is no possible contamination to other areas or facilities. When utilizing on-farm burial, the animal must be buried on a property used for raising animals or used for general animal husbandry practices. They have to be buried within 48 hours of the animal's death, under at least 2 feet of soil, and with no more than 2,000 pounds of dead animals on an acre per year. These practices protect against the spread of disease and other animals scavenging the remains of the livestock. There are 3 variations to on-farm burial: the single-use pit, the multiple-use pit, and the auger pit. A single-use pit is used when one or more animals die at one time, or animals are stored properly over time so that burial is done all at once. Single-use pits usually are only open for a few hours. Multiple-use pits are suited for operations with daily to weekly deaths. Animals are covered up as they are added, but the pit remains open to keep adding animals until it is totally full. An auger pit is a smaller pit dug for smaller animals on smaller operations that deal with few and periodic deaths. The problems with on-farm burial are the potential risk of groundwater contamination if the animal is buried in close proximity to groundwater sources or well water sources. It is also difficult to utilize on-farm burial in the winter when the ground is frozen, especially if only using the available equipment on the farm. On-farm burial is also not a viable option in areas with flooding. The barriers to adoption of on-farm burial are having the land available on the operation that meets all the requirements for animal burial, having the equipment available on the operation to bury the animals, and also implementing other methods for the animal disposal that benefit the farmer more. Unlike on-farm burial, on-site composting takes place above ground and kills pathogens in the process. Similarly, it turns the animal's carcass into organic matter. However, since it is above ground, this organic matter is more readily available for other uses. Concentrated animal composting is animal composting off-site on a larger scale. Its availability is limited depending on location of the farm, but is more convenient for farmers because they do not have to directly deal with the dead body. However, this convenience comes at a cost. Farmers must pay a fee to dispose of the animal bodies at concentrated animal composting facilities. Rendering animal bodies creates a secondary use for the carcass, unlike on-farm burial. However, the cost for rendering can vary. Incineration is a much more expensive option compared to on-farm burial. It is also subject to restrictive permitting. Also, unlike on-farm burial, there is very limited availability and access to animal incineration facilities. Landfill burial is similar to on-farm burial, but the animals are buried in a landfill instead. The price to dispose of an animal this way can vary, and the availability can depend on the farmer's location. I would like to say a quick thank you to my sources for all the helpful information, and also thank you to the viewer for taking the time today to learn about my favorite way to get rid of dead creatures, on-farm burial.